So boys, you get back in the bed today. We're gonna be on the map.
Basically, it's fried rice. The rice sticks into the pan, the burnt part, nice and crispy.
I didn't change my title to episode 3 last time, so we skipping to 4. Not necessarily skipping because we did record episode 3. That's just not what we titled it. I hope y'all doing good today. Jesus loves y'all. As always.
There we go. Oh my god, this is the best concombre ever. Nice and crunchy.
So now I'm going to
Alright, so what I was doing is getting these walls in when I left.
They're huge. And cut it into little pieces, little dices. Why? Because you kind of want to have an even bite of the shrimp.
To season
You know, I was making like kind of a glass phone.
Mixed garlic and chipotle. I want to keep the sauce on the shrimp, so I'm going to try not to move it around too much. So it reminds me of like orange chicken.
So I already have my chicken right here. It's already boiled. Look at this beauty.
I'm watching the cooking show
Normally, I
right
would
now.
tell you to use these 2 forks to kind of shred it, but I have a better trick with your hands. Because you control the size of your chicken breast. And there you have it. Shredded chicken for my chicken thing.
Having has taken some time. We're going to season it
We're gonna
with
go
some salt
mining
and pepper.
sometime. We need a bunch of coal.
So we're going for medium rare.
We went and got some coal last episode,
but
but we don't got enough still.
Alright, tinga time. We're just going to cook this. Again, chicken tinga goes with chipotle, but I have no chipotle, so I have to follow the rules. Son, are you watching this? Follow the rules. I'm gonna let the chicken out. Look at this, beautiful. It's kind of look like a fajita. And at this point, I will add the chipotle. So I'm just gonna close my eyes and think this is chipotle. Yes, this chipotle. Yes. Like the chipotle. Listen, there's nothing wrong with this sauce. I love this sauce. I love it. And I'm gonna add my chicken broth that we make together in the past. I'm not gonna add a lot. I don't wanna have a sake burrito, but normally you add a lot of chicken broth. That's when you know it's ready. When it tastes delicious and it looks delicious.
This is what we gonna do.
I can't believe this is just lunch. This is at least
We gonna label some
so we're gonna let it rest a little bit.
chest right now.
Cooking and cool off of it.
Alright. The other half of the avocado. I'm going to make avocado sauce. I'm gonna make it happen with what I have. I'm gonna use onion for the jalapeno and cilantro.
We gonna take all the stuff out of the chest and organize it.
I mean, who doesn't like avocado?
I'm going to be making my tres chile sauce. Arbol, morita, and guajillo.
Guajillo for texture and flavor. Morita, more for flavor. Arbol for spicy.
So normally, I always have sour cream on the side. And Chef Saul, I hope you're doing something good with my sour cream.
Honestly, I don't know what to do. Just gonna mix them. I'm gonna make sriracha crema. And this is really simple, guys. I mean, come on. It's more spicy. It's actually really good.
So, as you can see, there's a little puffiness. Actually, that was a magic moment. Yay, that was a moment.
And then you're going to take a separate pan and you're going to do a similar thing to the tomatoes and the onions, the other ingredients. Just toss them around to get them warm as well as a little bit charred. And then you take those ingredients with your chilies and put them in a blender. The vinegar is going to color really nicely and give a little bit of a tang.
Nah.
It's spicy, but it's not too crazy. So another special moment for me.
We like to eat raw mutton for now.
My own tortilla.
Then I'd rather eat raw
flour,
mutton
salt,
than smelted because we got stuff smelting already for the house.
I feel like a real chef. Let me make it dumb. Who would have thought? Domesticated millennial. Alright, so now we're gonna knead it up. So I'm kind of gonna shape this into a ball and then cover it with saran wrap and let it sit. Wrap it, dough ball. Okay, so my dough dough has been sitting for a little bit, and now for the fun part, I'm going to roll it into a tortilla. It's a little harder than I thought. So it's getting there. Totally digging the shape of my tortilla, okay? Excited for me? I am, because this is like a 300-step process. And we're near the end. A nice looking tortilla. Here's my cooked tortilla.
I wish I was making my own tortilla. So I got these tortillas from Bianca. She also sent me Monterey cheese. Yes, 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 yes. I'm going to do the cheese trick.
Saul's cheese trick is basically
Oh, yes, sir.
first, and then we're going to put the tortilla on top of the cheese, and then flip it.
But I'm gonna double it. What's better than cheese? More cheese. But first of all, I need to heat up my tortilla. If you don't heat up your tortilla, it will break. The cheese trick. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. It's not bothering you. It shouldn't be bothering the cheese.
Turn it over, hold it, and then. Oh, we out here. It's a little white. It's cool. Woo!
You know what? I'm gonna do the same thing that I did. The cheese trick. Right here, right now.
It is time to assemble my burrito. I've been working hard for this. My steak has been resting for a little bit, and now we're going to slice it up. I'm gonna put my steak first.
I'm gonna add some of this thing, and you see that there's not that much liquid into this.
Uh,
The shrimp with the chipotle adobo.
yeah,
I'm
right.
gonna do the concon. I'm gonna do chunks of rice.
Still streaming, right?
So,
Yeah.
since the concon is a little bit dry, it needs to have a little bit of sauce. A little bit of my sriracha crema, a little bit of sour cream.
So we're gonna add the famous nopal pico de gallo and the Tres chile sauce. Now for the chicharrones. This is definitely pork rind, and it smells like when I was watching the stories with my grandpa, who was watching all my children. And now the queso fresca.
Look at those colors. Look how beautiful that looks. Now I'm just gonna roll it.
Never rolled a burrito before.
Push the ends like that.
We're gonna fold inward,
Yes, sir.
wrap this around.
Pull all this inside
We need all of
here,
this.
and then just push towards yourself like this, and then it's gonna be so tight.
So we have the burrito. For the finishing touch, I'm gonna put it back in the pan to seal it.
And this is how you seal the deal. But wait, there is more. It's time for cheese trick part 2. So I did the cheese trick inside, now I'm gonna do it outside. And there you have it. Here's my burrito with cheese inside and outside. Let's play this, baby. Let's play this. It looks beautiful, huh? I know, I love it.
I was hoping the cheese pull would happen, but it looks tasty. So we're gonna place like this, and we're gonna get some lime.
I'm going to make rolls. So now it's just like sushi. Look at this beauty.
Just do a little ball of this little cold fresca Tres chile sauce. I mean, it looks cute to me. Does it look cute to you? All right, and then I guess we can add some of these little bad boys inside. And here is my take on Chef Saul's surf and turf burrito recipe.
A little bit of my avocado, a little bit of my sriracha crema, and some sour cream. There we go. I'm gonna have this for me, and this is for Ella, my daughter, and this is for Elena, my other daughter. There you have it, my chicken tinga burrito. I think I nailed it, but there's one more thing that I have to do, and that's trying this. Okay. This is not working out for me. Should have enough of this sauce, enough of the crema. Delicious, delicious, delicious. And just the layers of textures too. Like I can see, I can feel the crunchiness of the concon. It's just really, really good.
Okay. So on team steak, team shrimp. I think they actually mix really well together. But you know what I'm coming back to. I'm back to the Nepal. The cactus, you know, it's not my favorite, but I do enjoy the steak and the shrimp, and it's a tres chile salsa. So you know what? 2 out of what's that? That's like 3. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. It's a pork rind. I know that. Shout out to my grandpa. Hi, Saul.
Hi, Bianca. How's it going? How's the burrito, Mari Tierra?
Mari Tierra, I like that. See, I'm happy I have you here because I've been butchering the names. Awful job. The 3 chile sauce was on point. 10 out of 10.
Great. Did you end up doing the cheese trick?
I did do the cheese trick. You got some competition. However, I must know, cactus. How do you feel? How do you feel about cactus?
I love cactus. Listen, whenever I want to feel like I'm eating something healthy, I go for cactus. I grill it.
Really? For cactus? Not like broccoli? You know?
That's my Mexican broccoli.
Check it out.
It looks yummy. It looks yummy.
You telling me the truth? On a scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10, I think looks 9.99.
Oh, okay, that is you. Lovely man. Oh, wow.
So this is...
Why would you disrespect me like that?
All right, Bianca. Well, thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Universal protection is something Raid scientists have been working on for 60 years.
That's alright, that's alright.
That's why Raid brands protect more people from pests in more places. Raid, protection for everyone. SC Johnson.
I don't run, but I would run if I had to, in exchange for pasta. Not a marathon, but maybe a 5K. Hi, I'm Bill. I'm a professional chef, and this is a $145 mac and cheese. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a home cook, and these are my $10 mac and cheese ingredients. Okay. Oh. There's a creature. I love Velveeta. Well, I guess I'm making lobster mac and cheese. Alright, so here is Chef Bill's recipe book. As usual, no measurements, no instructions, just ingredients. For my mac and cheese, I was planning on making cavatelli with lobster mornay sauce. I had some excellent ingredients to work with. I had a wild lobster imported fresh from Nova Scotia. I'm from Nova Scotia. We're from the same place. And used the shells to infuse the base of the sauce. Made with whole milk, thyme, freshly ground nutmeg, bay leaf, butter, flour, garlic, black peppercorns, and cayenne pepper. Essentially, a lobster shell-infused bechamel. To make that into a mornay, I was going to add cheese. A lot of cheese. Gruyere, raclette, aged cheddar, and Parmesan. These cheeses smell incredible. And I had everything I needed to make fresh cavatelli from scratch. Double O flour, organic eggs, and milk. It was going to be rich, creamy, and delicious. This looks incredible, and of course there's the lobster in the room. The elephant in the room. I think it's looking at me. That's okay. With Emily's recipe, I have simpler ingredients. Stuff that you probably already have in your pantry or at the local grocery store. So the mac and cheese that I was going to make was a slow cooker 1-pot Velveeta concoction. It's basically the closest you can get to making mac and cheese from a box while making it homemade. Macaroni, flour, breadcrumbs, extra sharp cheddar, evaporated milk, butter, Tabasco, and Velveeta. Also, some ketchup, as I do like to put a little bit of ketchup on my mac and cheese.
But what?
Put ketchup on this mac and cheese. I love ketchup. I'm not insane. These ingredients might be simple, but
Nah.
I think I can do something with these.
Ketchup
If I had
on
to guess, I would say
macaroni and
these probably
cheese,
cost
bro.
around $15.
Come on, man.
Okay? I'm gonna go like $77. $145! I'm not terrified at all, don't worry about it. So, I have some concerns. Looks like I'm gonna have to turn a lobster into food, which I can do, but I'm a little nervous about it, that's all. My recipe uses a lobster Mornay sauce. Clearly, we're going to be using a lobster. We want to use the freshest seafood possible. That's the live lobster. It's the best for
Yeah, going
everybody,
all the way
including
through.
the lobster. So we want to dispatch the lobster in the most humane way possible.
Looks like I'm gonna have to call Rose. Emily! Hi, Rose! So, what are you making today?
So it's a cavatelli with a lobster Mornay sauce is the official name of the recipe.
Yum. It sounds very fancy.
So I do have some questions for you, obviously.
I'm here for you, Emily.
What do I do with the lobster?
Get the lobster cold first, so you can put them in the freezer, maybe 15 minutes. Take the lobster out, take a sharp knife, and poke into the head and make a cut, and then immediately into hot boiling water. You're gonna get really nice results, and it's the best way to dispatch that lobster.
Okay, so then once I have a cooked lobster, what do I do with it?
So you're going to take your lobster and cool it down a little bit first so you can handle it. Have a bowl and a side towel ready. With these delicious lobsters, we want to use every part of that animal so you can save your shells and the body, and you can actually infuse your milk when you're heating it to make the Mornay sauce. So use your shells from the claws as well as the tail, and then save the body and make a stock with it later.
I feel better now.
I've made a lot of questionable choices. Was it all because I was dehydrated? Nah. But now I'm trying to make smarter decisions. Now hydrating with smart water and stuff like that. Keep living smart. Ow!
I can do this. I can definitely probably do this. So like Rose said, the most humane way to kill a lobster is just to take your knife and quickly, in a downward motion, pull it through the head. So I'm going to do that, and then I can put my lobster into the boiling water. So to start off, I'm going right to the best part, the Velveeta. We're going to make some Velveeta croutons. What is Velveeta? A pasteurized recipe cheese product, liquid gold. I love it because it melts great, it's creamy, it's definitely a nostalgic flavor. All right, so the lobster is ready to go into the boiling water. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh, that's hot. All right, we're good, everything's fine. I'm just gonna cut these into 1-inch slices, sort of like miniature mozzarella sticks. Because Velveeta melts so easily and so wonderfully, we're gonna pop this in the freezer to keep it super, super cold before we put it in the fryer. All right, I'm gonna check on my lobster. I think it is done, so let's pull them out. Looks red, looks delicious. I'm excited to eat it. Sorry. So you might notice I have one glove on today. I am not a supervillain, nor is it for fashion purposes. I cut myself in the kitchen the other day. Occupational hazard. So I've got half that's gonna go in the sauce, half that's been cubed. I'm gonna pop that in the freezer before we bread it and fry it. So my lobster's all cooked, it's cooled down. Time to take this lobster apart. So I haven't broken down a lot of lobsters in my life, but I am Nova Scotian, so I am willing to believe it's just in my blood. Okay, I'm gonna just start with nice and easy, just pulling these guys out. Claws removed. I think there's a thing where you can just like crack. Maybe I have to. Yeah, there we go. There's like stuff here, and I'm not sure if what we've got going on is lobster eggs or lobster guts. I think we can just sit in here for now. So now we're going to bread our Velveeta croutons. We're going to be double breading them just to make sure that they have a nice crispy, crunchy coating and that Velveeta stays inside of the breading when it melts. So I've got the frozen Velveeta. It's been in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes, and we've got the breadcrumbs and the flour from Emily's original recipe and 2 eggs. With my tail, I think I have 2 options. One is that I can go from this end, and the other is to go down the middle. Let's try this end side. This is a little picky bit that you can use to like get meat out when it's stuck. So I'm just cutting down the center with my kitchen shears. Put my shells in my broth shell area. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good tail. So I've got my breadcrumbs here. Flour. I'm gonna whisk these up. I'm gonna season my breadcrumbs just a little bit with black pepper and a little salt.
Trying to fall asleep.
So I've gotten a lot of my meat out. The next thing I'm gonna do is handle my claws. Anytime that I'm plating lobster, I really like to keep the whole claw together. It makes a nice presentation. It's gonna be tricky. I'm not gonna lie to you. In order to do that, I separate the whole claw arm from the body, including the knuckles, and then separate the claw from the knuckles. So my claw is still mostly intact right now. The next step is to perform claw surgery, which is to try and gently get it out of here. So just having to be very gentle. while also breaking a claw. Gently crack that claw open and sort of pull it out. Just being as tender as you can and keep that all together. Yeah! Okay, don't forget. Don't be cocky. I'm doing rocket surgery.
Home is right over there. Perfect.
So I got the end.
We gonna
of
gather
the
some more
shell
wood.
off, so now it's just about. Feel good. Feeling real good. Looks like they'll let me back into Nova Scotia. We're gonna go flour, egg, panko, egg, back into the breadcrumbs. So we've got a really nice breadcrumb coating. I'm just going to repeat that for all of these. All right, so I have my lobster shells soaking. I'm going to use them to infuse my Mornay with more lobstery goodness. And now I'm just going to cut up the tail and knuckle meat. I want my lobster pieces to be not too big because it should probably go with the pasta, like in terms of size and experience. I'm ready for my nap. Most delicious things are double breaded, at least in my world. If your breadcrumbs start to get really eggy, just push them sort of to the back. We're double breadcrumbing just to get that really nice crunchy breading on the outside, but also Velveeta has such a low melting point that we really want to get them kind of encased in that breading so that you're not just leaking Velveeta out into your fryer fat. So our Velveeta cubes are double breaded. I'm going to throw these back in the freezer until we're ready to fry. I'm going to start my pasta dough. For the cavatelli, I was going to make my own pasta dough. Something I do all the time. Super easy. Feels more impressive than it actually is hard. I have made pasta dough before. I have not made cavatelli before, but I'm going to go with my gut and we'll see what happens. So Emily, don't be intimidated. This is a super easy trick. Once you do it once, you'll want to do it all the time. First thing I'm going to do is simply make a well with my flour. Put all of your flour into a nice tidy pile. Making a little well, is that enough of a well? I don't know, I'm always making it up as I go, like this song which I am writing. Look at these yolks, they're so orange. They're like a sunset. And I'm gonna just mix these up, I think? No. Yes. Yeah. Looking good, feeling good. Fill that well with all of your eggs and your milk and your oil. Then using your fingertips, gradually break up your egg yolks and gently start to incorporate your flour all the way around your well, sort of slowly adding it in and making a paste. I'm going to try to just keep working this and incorporate as much of all of this as I can. Once you start to bring it together as a shaggy dough, bring your remaining flour in and start kneading it by hand. I think that if I just kind of keep going, eventually it'll come together. I think that's like my career. Just keep going. Kind of looks like Velveeta. Once your dough is smooth and elastic and feels like your earlobe, yeah, it's ready to rest. Wrap it in food wrap and set it aside for at least 30 minutes, if not an hour. There we go. That's a wrap. Okay, let's fry these Velveeta croutons. It's got our frozen Velveeta cubes, double breaded, ready to go. We've got our canola oil between 350 and 360 right now. I'm just gonna fry these until they're golden brown, and let's see how this goes.
We can make a lot of progress with this minor trick. Got some diamonds, a little bit of gold. Got enough wool to make up some beds, and then we got enough wood. No, we got enough wool. Right? We got enough wood to make some chests as well.
There's two
Organized chests.
types of apparatus that you can use to make the cavatelli. You might see a hand cranked machine. The hand crank's super easy, but the one that you do by hand is super satisfying. So if you have the old style but really nice wooden board, it has ridges in it. You're gonna take your cigar and chop it up into small pieces. What you do is you take one of these little balls, hold it, press it firmly either with your thumb or 2 fingers evenly, and you roll the cavatelli against the wooden surface.
Actually, I think that could be right. All right, that's one. It might not be cavatelli, but it's cavatelli-like. Cavatellish. We'll just keep going. The more I do it, the better it'll be. And I think that the secret that I'm missing is that I have to get this edge at this point so that when I get to here, they're both thin. Like that! Rose was right, it is very satisfying. I am the cavatelli queen! See, mac and cheese is fun food, so this is like a fun garnish. Like little mozzarella sticks. We're almost there. These are gonna be good. So clearly, I was nailing it with the Cavatelli board, but I like a challenge, so I'm gonna also try this little machine-y guy and just see what happens. And first thing I have to do is make a cigar, put some arm strength into it, you know? Alright, I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, now we're cooking with gas. This is a blast. So one of the main things that I'm just keeping track of is trying to maintain a consistent temperature with the oil around 350. Because you're adding cold, frozen things directly to the oil, clearly your temperature is going to drop. So
Look at that.
You're kind of adjusting
That's
and
nice.
keeping an eye on your temperature. If it gets too high, they'll get too brown too fast, and you won't get the cheese to melt on the inside. All right, that's it. Velveeta croutons. Okay, so these look way better and more uniform than the ones I was making by hand. Mine were fun. These are better. I accept that. Cavatelli made. Let's see how it is on the inside. Oh. It tastes like a bowling alley. In a good way. I'm going to make my Mornay. Mornay is a bechamel sauce that has had cheese added to it. What is a bechamel sauce? Well, it's a milk sauce that has been thickened with a roux, butter, and flour. First thing I need to do is just sort of infuse my milk with flavor. Just taking my lobster shell pieces. Cool, that feels lobstery. And then the next thing I'm going to do is put my garlic, bay leaf, thyme, and peppercorns in here. All right, so I have all my aromatics in here, and I'm just going to add
Come on, fingers.
All right, I'm just setting this on low and letting it warm up. And once this heats up, it's roux and cheese time, baby. So with Emily's recipe, it was a dump it all together into a crock pot and leave it for 2 hours kind of recipe. But luckily for me, I've got all of the materials here to make sort of a classic stovetop mac. I'm gonna make cheese sauce, I'm going to boil some pasta, we're gonna fold it together, garnish it with the crispy croutons. It's gonna be delicious. So let's just start with this cheddar. I'm just gonna grate this on the large size.
Yeah, we can also make one of those
here.
like scope thingies with copper and amethyst.
Pot, but you have a little bit more control. I'm just gonna coarsely chop this Velveeta up. It's so melty that it doesn't really need to be that small. Both of my cheeses are in here, well, one cheese product and one cheese. And I'm going to add some evaporated milk. So while my milk is simmering, I'm going to just use the food processor to shred my cheese. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on low. Oh, well, things are going great. I'm gonna keep going. It hates me. I think we're done. This is enough cheese. All right, there we go. That's cheese. Easily shredded. I love evaporated milk. It will really make this cheese sauce creamy. You're getting all of that dairy without as much water, so it's great for something like cheese sauce. I'm gonna add like most of this can to start. Just really get my cheeses down in there. We'll let this start to melt. So the next thing I have to do is make my roux and then just kind of bring everything together. First thing I have to do is just turn this on super low, and I'm going to put my butter in the pan. And I'm going to add my cayenne pepper and my nutmeg. So when Emily's making her bechamel, she should make sure that she blooms the nutmeg and the cayenne pepper in that melted butter. Get that so it's nice and aromatic. Then add your flour, whisk it all together. And the next thing I'm going to do is just strain my milk, pour my milk into here. Smells good. All right, I'm just adding a little bit of salt. This is starting to look nice, huh? More like a sauce, less like a terror. So the next thing I'm going to do is just start adding my cheese in. So I've got to be really careful not to boil the cheese, because that will be very bad. So unlike Emily's cheese sauce, which you really shouldn't boil, this with the Velveeta and the evaporated milk is a little bit more forgiving. Okay, this is exactly what we're looking for, this like velvety cheese sauce. So now that the cheese has been melted, I'm gonna add a couple dashes of hot sauce here. That's just to give it a little bit of flavor. I like the little bit of vinegar that hot sauce adds to it too. I'm gonna keep adding more cheese. Look at that. That's a sauce. Okay, so I think that this is done, but before I cover it up and move on to the next thing, I'm just going to give it a taste. It's great. It's really good. It's great. It's beautiful. So I'm just going to put a lid on this, set it aside, keep it warm while we boil our pasta and finish the rest of our stuff. All right, so now I'm going to cook my pasta. First thing I have to do is toss a little more salt in my water. There we go. I'm just going to dump this in. And since this is fresh pasta, it's going to cook really quickly. And I can tell that it's pretty much cooked because they are all floating, which is great. I'm just going to drain this off. Because we're going to be holding this while we rewarm our sauce, I'm going to put a little vegetable oil on this to make sure that it doesn't stick together. All right, my pasta is good to go. So I'm just going to scoop all of these into my sauce. All right, and the next thing I'm going to do is put my lobster meat into here. I'm just combining this. I'm going to add a little splash of evaporated milk here to kind of loosen it up, bring it all together. Ah, there we go. Adding a little more hot sauce just for a little extra flavor, a little dash of salt. And I'm just going to fold it all together. That looks good. To me, this looks perfect. I think we're ready to plate this thing up. So I'm just going to grab my plate. Oh yeah, there we go. This is going to be so good. It's like the best boxed mac and cheese you've ever had. I'm going to take my big boy claw. You know what? You can do both claws. These little croutons. And just a little parsley on top. And I think that looks pretty good. And here's my take on Chef Bill's lobster mac and cheese. That's my take on Emily's mac and cheese. I am very excited to eat this. It's looking delicious. I think I drilled a little. Don't worry, Emily, I didn't forget the ketchup. We can use that as a little dip. All right, it is time to taste. Do I have cheese all over my face? Really good. Salty and cheesy, and you get that beautiful sweet lobster meat. It's really good.
No tripping.
The crunchy with the creamy, it's very good. This is so simple. I don't think I would change much at all, even if I had access to other ingredients. Well, all right, I get it. Sometimes mac and cheese that doesn't come from a box is also exceptional. I can't wait to check in with Emily to see how she did with the lobster mornay. I bet she did great.
I didn't even eat this many steaks.
Impressed. I'm gonna show him my claw. Hi, Chef Bill. Hi. How are you? Good. How you doing? Good. How did it go?
I forgot how to make lettuce.
So tasty. Good. How did the lobster go? Pretty good actually. I actually got a whole claw out, which I did not think I was going to do. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I did my best. Oh, it looks great. There was a big lobster. This was so good. I'm glad it went well. Here, I'll show you what I did. So I did like stovetop and then fried the Velveeta. I don't know if you can see. What? That's so cool. And then I served it with your ketchup. A little side of ketchup. Don't worry, I won't put ketchup on this. Do you think you'll make cavatelli at home now? You know what? I totally would. I love that little board thing where you just do... Yeah. I was like, oh, I could do this and have this in my house. And do you think you'll be using Velveeta more? I mean, I love Velveeta. I was not a stranger to Velveeta beforehand, so... It was so great to meet you. Nice to meet you, too. Bye.
This might just be our craziest video yet. Because, well, today we've spent quite a lot of money. But let me start from the beginning. Who here likes charcuterie boards? Don't raise your hand. What do you Well, I know I do. And today we're taking charcuterie boards to the next level. I don't know why, but I feel like online I've seen charcuterie board this, charcuterie board that, charcuterie. People call them all sorts of stuff. But I want to really take a deep dive into charcuterie boards. It all depends on how seriously you want to take them. And if you know me, you know that I take food very seriously. But I really wanted to think outside the box today. So we're going to do something really fun. We're going to start out simple by making a $1 charcuterie board. That's right, $1. Now come on, please don't come after me if you calculate it out to the exact gram and it's $1.01. But you get the idea. We are going to try to nail that $1 board. And after that, you guess what's going to happen? Once you completed that, we are going to add a 0, which will move us on up to the $10 charcuterie board. And you know, you nice crackers, maybe some berries or fresh fruit. Things can get pricey. But can you guess what's gonna happen next? We're gonna add another zero and do a $100 charcuterie board. And yeah, I know, that might sound crazy. And it's gonna give us some good flexibility to really start putting in some unique ingredients. But we are not stopping there. Because we're gonna add another zero after that and go to a $1,000 charcuterie board. Boom. Yes, it sounds crazy, but we're gonna do it. We have to. Because don't you wanna know, what can a $1,000 charcuterie board look like? I mean, come on, possibilities are probably endless. But here's the kicker, we're not gonna stop there. Can you guess what we're gonna do? Yeah, we're gonna add another zero. Because today, we're making a $10,000 charcuterie. Okay, so I know that sounds crazy, but to start, let's go do that $1 charcuterie board. Because out of all of them, maybe besides the $10,000 one, that's actually the one I'm most excited about. Let's head on over to 7-Eleven.
Want to find workouts that work on your terms?
Let's get after this right today, Peloton. Let's go.
Live and on-demand classes, all on your schedule, all right at home. The Peloton Bike. Nothing like working out from home. Try classes on the Peloton app free for 30 days. Terms apply.
So we are off to 7-Eleven right now, and I just can't think of any better place to get that $1 charcuterie board. Now, I don't know what we're gonna find there. I really don't. But I just feel like if there's gonna be a place you can build a decent charcuterie board, it's gonna be there. They got the cheapest slice of pizza around, and it's actually not a terribly bad slice. You know, it's not great, but it's okay. But the reality is that 7-Eleven has pretty much everything. So let's go see what we can find. You guys, we made it. 7-Eleven has arrived. So the key here is gonna be finding stuff that we can.
Well, now y'all know what that was. Now y'all probably know what that was gonna be. That was gonna be the enchanting room
I'm a big noodle guy myself.
up there, and it's still gonna be the enchanting room.
Maybe go with some sliced pepper jack. This is gonna go on our $10 charcuterie board though. This is a little more pricey, okay? We're looking for lower budget stuff for the $1 board. For our $1 board, this is an absolute must. Jack's Links, baby. This is it. Alright, so now we need saltines, which obviously these are our low budget cracker right here, okay? This is our $1 cracker. Also, I have something really special I want to show you with Oreos. It's one of the coolest hacks I've ever learned, so I'm going to bring these back too. Last thing we need is our meat for the $1 board. I think we're going to take it out of a Lunchable. I just feel like that's a pro move right now. This is a good spread right here, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one. This is a fully empty saltine box? Yeah. They sent you it? Yeah. You better have gotten a refund. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Huge success there at 7-Eleven. Now we are back to the kitchen to make all these boards.
Ooh, my hand.
Now it's
I'm gonna fall asleep.
Then we're gonna start out on that first board. We're gonna play some good pepper jack cheese, a couple of premium saltines. Now what I will say is that guy in that store, what a sweet guy. We didn't catch this on video, but this guy was chilling behind the counter, waiting for people to check out or ask questions. When we asked him about the saltines, he quite literally got up and started running around the corner as if he was doing the Boston Marathon. I personally appreciated the hustle, and I actually told him to stop running. But he also was just obsessed with telling us the story about how they dropped off a box of saltines to him last week. It was fully sealed but completely empty. Yeah. So I guess just know that there's a really good story behind these saltines. Now, honestly, I wasn't going to do a $1 charcuterie board without some but Jack's Links was just a little step up, and I felt like we could sport it a little bit. As long as we can work it into the budget, right? And last but not least, something we actually couldn't find at 7-Eleven, but found somewhere else, we got Easy Cheese. Because isn't this what dreams are made of? You might have seen me pick up some Oreos at 7-Eleven. So to start off, I got a little trick here for you. To start, we're going to take out one of our Oreos and put just a little bit of that Easy Cheese on top. I know this is fully unrelated to a charcuterie board, but believe it or not, this tastes exactly like the cheese. I know, it sounds completely insane, but it's actually shockingly good. Well, let's get focused again and start building this $1 board. Let's break down that $1 board. Now, we probably all love Lunchables back in the day, and I just figured we could get some good stuff out of this thing right here. But I haven't had a Capri Sun in so long. Out of here, I think the real main thing we're gonna get is these pieces of pepperoni that are really only a couple cents and can help us get a nice, beefy, meaty foundation. So let's just lay a few of those down on our cutting board in a nice little formation. Keep in mind, all these boards are going to be really nice and abstract, so here's a nice start. Now, second is we're going to go ahead and open up our cheese stick and jerky.
Couple things we need to go back to the cave for.
And we can't use all of it because we'll go over budget here. But I'm going to cut some really nice bits of this beef here, which will give another texture to our meat section. And then I'll cut the cheese into nice little cubes that you can pick up and eat by hand. But again, not all of it, because we can't go over budget here. That's looking pretty good to me for now. Next, of course, are saltines. When you think about it, saltines are pretty much the cheapest cracker out. So to hit that $1 mark, I'm going to lay a few of these out across the board, and we're not going to break the bank. Let's just get these in a really nice formation right around our board to make things start looking a little bit pretty. Now our charcuterie board is starting to look professional. But what is a charcuterie board without a few olives? Especially ones that you can't even get out of the can. That's not the nicest looking selection of olives I've ever seen, but it's going to do the job here. I'm going to take my tweezers and lay just a few of my olives out on the board here, because each individual one we put down is probably a little less than a cent. So again, that's why I couldn't splurge for full olives. They just brought us slightly over budget. Now to finish things off, you want a little bit of easy cheese to really make it nice and easy to dip those crackers. I'll put a nice little mound on my board, and maybe just do a couple of those to spice things up a little. Whenever you're plating, always remember, plate in odd numbers. So I'm happy with those 3 splotches of easy cheese, which bring us to right around $1. Take a look at this board before we dive in. Alright, well, to dive in, here's what I would do. I'd probably take one of these saltines, put a little bit of easy cheese on there, and put it nice and around so that we get that evenly covered. Then I'd add a few olives, just for a little bit of extra salt here, with 1 or 2 cubes of cheese. I'd top it off with a nice piece of pepperoni, and I'd call it a day. Keep in mind, you don't want to be one of those people that takes all of one certain thing and puts them on your cracker, and then there's none of that left in the charcuterie board. That's basic, simple charcuterie etiquette. Let's give this a try. I'm not going to recommend the $1 charcuterie board to anybody out there. It simply just isn't good. But you know what is good is the saltines challenge. And hey, I just want to show you these superpowers, so here we go. All you need for day. Oh, well, I can get even for day. Now for our $10 charcuterie board, we're going to step it up a little bit, so you can see we're kind of upping our cracker game here, right? Now, I know, Ritz don't seem like the most luxurious cracker out there, but I actually don't think they're all that bad. They have a lot of those qualities that you'd be looking for in a cracker. They got just the right amount of salt, they're light and airy, while also very crispy and have that crunch every time, and perhaps most importantly, when it comes to cheese, they're the perfect vehicle for putting a nice piece of cheese on it. I'm not really sure why they have those holes through them, but I kind of dig it. So to start, let's lay down our Ritz crackers. We can definitely give it a little pizzazz and make a few little shapes with our cracker layers here. Why not keep things interesting, right? Next, we're going to go with a fresh stack of saltines, because again, I know saltines are a pretty dry cracker, but they're cost effective and can really buff up this charcuterie board if you want them to. Watch me give it a little pizzazz again. Now, of course, our cheese. I'm sure you all remember these really cute wax-shaped cheese things, and I know that I was absolutely obsessed with them during my childhood, and I always thought it was cool that they opened up and looked like Pac-Man. Well, let's toss down a few of these things. We can even make a little tower and leave some in the packaging if we want to. Sometimes that's kind of nice in the charcuterie board. Now, the next thing we're going to do is open up a couple olives from a bag, because we've graduated from those pre-cut half olives, and we're now moving on to the big meats. That's right, we got whole olives. So let's add a couple of those nice and spaced out on our charcuterie. As you can see,
You know what? I just noticed what I'm doing and it's a bad idea, so.
But now it's time for a little bit of our pepper jack cheese. Now cheese is where things can start to get really expensive really fast. So we can't go overboard with the cheese here. But to make things look nice, I'm going to start layering it out on my board, just nice and evenly so that you can easily grab a piece and make a nice cracker out of it. And again, maybe get a little bit of a stack there. Some nice height to buff things up a little bit, right? Now, of course, not everyone loves pepper jack, so I'm also going to do a little bit of regular cheese, which will be cut from this nice, beautiful block of cheddar. You'll notice that as our charcuterie boards step up in value, they'll get closer and closer to the source. Hence, this nice block of cheese. I want to start making it more rustic, so I'm going to break off nice clumps of this cheese, laying those across my board and getting things really nice and beautiful. You want your guests to see this charcuterie board and be blown away immediately. So make sure you don't hold back when it comes to being creative. But alas, this wouldn't be complete without a nice little spread, because we have enough budget now to play around with a bit of a jam. And that's why I have this nice big spread that evidently has been already dug into and eaten from the store. The $10 charcuterie board, what do you expect? Maybe it's just melted? Yeah. You think? And last but not least, to finish off that $10, we can't forget to put a little bit of meat in here, though we can't afford too much because we really balled out on the cheese there. So I have these nice little petite salamis, which I absolutely love, and I'm going to lay them right in the middle of my board to finish this $10 charcuterie board. Take a little bit of our fig spread, because why not? And then I'll take a nice little chunk off of my cheddar cheese, place that right in the middle. This time I'm going to eat my olive on the side, because it didn't taste so good last time on the cracker.
This isn't some tourist attraction. We're in an actual musical.
Please, God, no.
We're stuck here forever. We're smart. We found our way out of IKEA. We'll find a way out of here.
And I think that's going to complete it. First, just a little nibble of my baby bell cheese. As to really get in the spirit of the $10 charcuterie board, followed of course by a nice rich cracker, very crispy and buttery, topped with a little bit of that big spread and a tad bit of cheddar cheese. It's a harmony in my mouth. Now for our $100 charcuterie board, this is when we step things up a little bit. This is when we get more outside the box, we get nicer meats, nicer cheeses. This is when things really can start to get spicy. We graduated now from Ritz and we can move on to Triscuits. You get what I mean. But here's one thing that I want to say. I feel like a good charcuterie board always has some sort of highlight, some sort of centerpiece, let's just say. least the one I'm about to make is home to. What I have here is a beautiful rabbit and pork cheek terrain from Regalis Foods. You definitely heard me say their name before, and they send me a lot of my higher end, more unique foods. But my point here is that this is going to be kind of the centerpiece for our $100 charcuterie board. Yes, this bad boy right here is going to run you about 15 bucks, which is a nice chunk, but not too much of the overall price of your charcuterie board. So of course, to start, I'm just going to gently break this baby open and rest it right down in the center of my board. To start, I'm going to go in with some dry-aged Iberico pork. It's a chorizo sausage that looks amazing. Chorizo is how I should properly say it. I'm going to chop this bad boy in half and just show you how incredible the inside of this looks like. Now, if we use the whole tube, I can tell you right now we're going to go over budget. So I'm going to go ahead here and just slice some nice, perfect bits of it. It's just enough to give us a nice spread on our board. Next, we have some bread that I've flown in from Spain. It smells incredible. I want to chop it in nice thin little strips here to be able to grab a piece of it and put whatever you'd like on the bread. But I like the idea of leaving in this whole beautiful baguette. So I'm going to let this sit right along the outside. Now, in my opinion,
very
on a
sweet
nice
little
charcuterie board,
donuts.
you must have some good samples. And to keep things nice and fancy, why don't we just leave it on the gold tray and let people grab it however they want. Actually, let's make it prettier and place it down in a nice little rustic shredded pile here. Next, I have some spicy Italian salami that I'm going to lay right up against our chorizo. Layering the salami up against itself like this is always a very simple way to make something look nice and neat. Before we put down the rest of that sausage, let's come in with a few bowls that we're eventually going to fill with some beautiful different things. These will be different little landmarks that we can build around as we finish the rest of our board. And it gives us something good to nestle things up against, giving our board a very full feeling. Next, we're going to take some cornichons, which are those cute little mini pickles that you've seen, and we'll pile a few of these into one of our bowls, as those will really help to elevate just about any charcuterie board out there. They're also pretty cute, too. And they come with these nice little sweet onion bulbs. Next, some soprasetta salami, because we really got to go full Italian for a little bit here. This is a much more meat-centric charcuterie board, but we'll get to the other things in just a moment. Nestled right in the back here, I'm going to add a little bit of sliced cheddar cheese, and then I'm going to break this beautiful blue cheese and rest it down somewhere in the back of my bowl. Now, I don't know if you heard me before, but like I said, we've graduated now from Ritz crackers. So here's when I'm going to start the spread of our crackers. I'm sure everybody who's ever been to a party, like I said, guys, I party, so I've been to a party or two, has probably seen these crackers. And the thing is, they're not actually half bad. So we'll spread them all around our board, really making sure that we take up some of that extra blank space. Now, the next thing we're going to work on is prosciutto. And trust me, what we're going to have in a bit is going to be a heck of a lot nicer. But this is imported from Italy, and it's pretty dang good stuff. To step it up, however, we're going to be wrapping a few nice pieces of melon in this prosciutto and dropping those down on our charcuterie board. It's time now to put down some of our nice breadsticks shipped straight from Italy. And I'm not going to lie, those actually took a shocking date to the wallet, given that you think they're just bread, but they are, after all, from Italy, so here you have it. Now, another unique thing I'm going to add here is some chocolate, which, yeah, I'm sure you've seen people add chocolate to a charcuterie board before, but I just think this makes a nice little touch if you add this to the board. Now, next, I'm going to go in with some olives. I got it. Finally got it open. We're stepping up our olive game a little bit here now with some marinated Spanish mixed olives. What's great about these is that they have pits inside them, so it makes it nice and super awkward for you when you're at a party and trying to eat an olive. And then you just have this terribly ugly pit in your hand and don't know what to do with it. Also, you can see there's some nice bay leaves inside here to really kind of marinate them and make them taste fantastic. Now, to finish things off a little bit, I figured our $100 board deserved a little bit of fruit. Not a lot, but a little bit of fruit. So I'll go in with a few of the main fruits. Nothing super crazy, but enough to just spice things up a little bit. And like I said, we graduated from Ritz and moved on to Triscuits as well. Add a bunch of Triscuits to your $100 board and call it a day. Now, instead of just taking a bite out of our $100 charcuterie board and then putting that one away, we're now going to build on that to get a $10,000 charcuterie board. And next up is $1,000, which is honestly where things get a little bit crazy. And also when my credit card bill starts to get a little bit sketchy. Now, to start, I'm going to do something really cool. This beautiful piece of cheese right here is a triple creme brie shipped all the way from France. I actually want to be really delicate with this thing, because this bad boy right here is going to run us about $100. I have pre-made puff pastry, and when I open this up, I should be able to gently roll it out and then put my brie right inside. I'm sure you've heard of baked brie before, and that's exactly what you're going to be looking at with this. Now, luckily, making a baked brie is actually quite simple. We're going to rest this down on the bottom of our puff pastry, fold it up, trim around the pastry to make sure we don't have too much excess, and then very simply press and wrap up that brie. Once it's all wrapped up like this, we're going to place our brie on a baking sheet and paint it in a nice layer of egg wash, just to get that beautiful golden brown crust and color that we're all looking for. And once it's been fully coated in that egg wash, we're simply going to place this in the oven at about 375 Fahrenheit until golden brown. Now here's our next little thing. This is Osetra caviar, and this bad boy right here is going to run you about $200. It may be kind of hard to see, but what we have here are some beautiful things. Typically, you're not familiar with. It's salty, fatty, and can go. So we'll place this right by our charcuterie board and know that this will be one of the stars of our $1,000 charcuterie board. Now what we have here is the butt of a prosciutto, which we've shaved a bunch off of to get some nice big pieces here. You can just see how absolutely gorgeous this is. And for an $1,000 charcuterie board, you can't just be going out and buying pre-sliced prosciutto. So I'm gonna rest this off to the side of our board just to really show where we got all of this from. And then we can lay some beautifully sliced prosciutto all up against this leg. This gives off that really fresh aspect of everything. And it's something that I absolutely love when I see a charcuterie board. Now with our bread, I also want to leave this nice and rustic. So let's leave the whole piece here this time. Next, I've got this gorgeous Scottish smoked salmon from iGourmet that I'm gonna go ahead and cut around with my knife, ultimately peeling back what is beautiful, beautiful salmon flown across the meat. I'll layer some of these up right next to my prosciutto, and I can't help but salivate when looking at and smelling the fatty, delicious salmon in front. That's gonna be good. What I have right here is Iberico chorizo, pre-sliced and simply the best of the best. It's so delicate and fatty that it's almost breaking as I pull it out of its container. And the very best way to describe this is that it's melt in your mouth salami. Now I know this may sound absurd, but what you're looking at right here is $300 honey, and that's why I'm not going to use all of it. This is called Manuka honey, and I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Believe it or not, it's not even the most expensive honey out there. And just wait till you see what we have for that $10,000 board. Honey goes so incredibly well with something like a charcuterie board, so it excites me. Now again here from iGourmet, I have a Kerrygold aged cheddar, and it also has some Irish whiskey in there. Let's peel off that external wrapping and lay this down. Next, we're going to color things up a little bit, because you know how much I love coloring.
No, for the mash up, we got it
so I'll lay this wine cheese across the table right in the corner here. Now I got some olives from La Tienda. I think you probably remember when I used one of their full Cinco Hotas Jamón Ibérico legs. Cutting that thing was absolutely incredible. And I'll pour these Spanish olives into a nice bowl and let those sit right in the middle of my bowl. Now, this might not look like it's open, but believe it or not, it actually is. And it has almost a jello-like top. This is a little foie gras pate that I'll place right in the back of my board here. Now, of course, let's start laying down a few crackers. What you see here have apricot, pistachio, and sunflower inside. Into our olives, I'm also going to add a few chilies, calabrese chili peppers, to be precise. Then a nice beautiful hunk of focaccia right in the back of my board here. More crackers that we've sent straight from Italy. And you know what? You have to excuse them for breaking a few, because they came from a long journey. And a nice little bowl of Marcona almonds, which I'll place just next to our caviar. What we have here, also from La Tienda, is Iberico acorn-fed chorizo, which, when I pop off the cap, looks pretty incredible. To spice and color up the board, I'm going to put a few tomatoes that have absolutely gorgeous colors and are heirloom tomatoes I got from a nearby farm. And I'll finish with this incredible looking cheese that's been coated in all sorts of gorgeous herbs. But again, I want to break this hunk of cheese and make it nice and rustic and keep things so incredibly beautiful across our charcuterie board. Now for the $10,000 board, let's step it up and build upon what we have around us. We've added in a third cutting board in the middle of this whole thing here. And to start, I'm going to cut this first big thing open. This is from and that's what it is. They always find me crazy things, but what's in here is very exciting. I'll slowly open it, and you can try to guess as I start to open it. But what I'll say is that what's in here will make any charcuterie board incredible. We have a full frame of black locust honeycomb, and this right here is the start of our $10,000 charcuterie board. This right here is a showstopper in and of itself. And I'll prop this up in the back of my cutting board as our little foundation for everything. Now, of course, I did not forget about that amazing bakery that's in the oven. But since we're building on all the boards, it doesn't really matter at this point when this thing falls into everything. For now, I'm just going to gently slide this off and place it in the middle of my cutting board. I can feel this on the edges and tell you right now that this thing is oozing with delicious cheese. Now next, I want to do prosciutto and melon, but not just any prosciutto and not just any melon. Our quote-unquote prosciutto will be Cinco Hotas already carved ham. And again, if you've seen my Cinco Hotas Jamón Ibérico video, you know how incredible and amazing this acorn-fed ham is. La Tienda sends me all of this stuff straight from Spain, in these beautiful mountains where the pigs are raised and grown. But with every nice bite of this, you're often looking at something like $25, maybe even more. And lucky for you, we have quite a few of them. What we have right here is a Japanese melon, and when I cut into it, immediately I should smell that bright, vibrant deliciousness. I had to go to a pretty random store pretty much in the middle of nowhere to get this thing, so I truly hope I'll be able to tell the difference in flavor between this and a regular melon that I can buy up the road. This will be our version of prosciutto and melon. Next, we have a few of these incredible quail eggs, which I've already hard-boiled for 3.5 minutes and are quite delicious. I thought those would be a really nice touch for a charcuterie. Now here, from iGourmet, we have white sturgeon caviar, which will run you about $250, but it's quite delicious if you ask me. I know it seems like a lot for a pretty small amount, but I'm going to rest this right up top near the corner near my melon. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen Mr. Beast's video, but these are little candied green peaches, each of which can run you up to $500. For that tiny little peach, it's sometimes kind of hard to believe. Now we'll go down with this shockingly expensive but really delicious looking baby corn, a bunch of cans of this Spanish octopus marinated in olive oil, which is wrapped nicer than any canned good I've ever seen. Let me just open it up to let you see what's inside. I've never seen octopus like this, but boy oh boy do I like it. Then of course I'll go on with some black truffle cheese, which I'll cut straight down the middle to get that rustic look yet again. Geez, we're running out of space here. Some gorgeous white truffle honey and black truffle pate. These crackers from Italy that are called air bread that just look so amazingly fancy and poor so expensive that we had to get them for our charcuterie board. These sauteed Marcona almonds, which I'll sprinkle just around the board to get that nice rustic look again. You know almonds are expensive when they come in a jar like this. Some duck foie gras mousse, which I'll place here in the back. And of course a beautiful nice baguette from a local Italian bakery, which we've almost entirely run out of space for. Some European blue cheese wrapped in the most unique setup I've ever seen. Boy oh boy is that pungent. And of course now we need our berries. So why not sprinkle on a few things like huckleberries, these extraordinarily expensive strawberries called dreamberries, and an absolutely absurd selection of cheese which I'll start to lay out for you now. Alright, for my cheeses, what I have right here is an 100% Manchego cheese. This right here you can see has been cut from a wheel, and it's entirely sheep's milk. So I'll rest that off right to the side. Now right here I have a beautiful goat cheese that's been wrapped in grape leaves and tied up in this nice little bundle. You can see here that I can unwrap the cheese, take off a little piece, and then it's got this beautiful, delicate, delicious flavor. So this too will get placed down right here on the edge. Now here we have some beautiful, very, very fresh figs that I've shipped across the country. And you'll notice that when I split one of these open, they almost have this syrupy, honey-like interior. And when you taste them, your mind will be blown. Now I don't want to say anything weird about this cheese here, but let me just tell you that this is something special. Oh boy. Oh, I feel like I just have to taste it.
Photos.
I am on a mission, reading books for ammunition, mind unlocked and loaded. Explosive. I can be what I want to be, and then I set myself free. I will know that I'll hold the keys, but when the penny drops, I set my mind at ease. Tell me what you know, wanna know it all. Be the kind of warrior to make it empire fall.
Coordinates. Without coordinates, I'll probably get lost.
I've never even heard of that, but it smells just like it. Next, I have a Haskell berry preserve, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm not really sure how to describe the smell, other than the fact that it smells incredible. Now I have a low bush blueberry preserve, the most incredible. Delicious. It's very tart and very, very unique. Then, a cloudberry preserve. Incredibly sweet and incredibly delicious. And last but not least, we have a wild huckleberry jam. And again, I don't know if any of you have seen that Mr. Beast. It's a $100,000 sundae, but each spoonful of this is about $50. So I guess it's up to the person eating the charcuterie board of how much you actually consume. But this whole bowl right here is a few $100s. Next, what we have right here is dry cured Gruyere duck prosciutto. When I cut into this beautiful thing, you can see how incredible it is, with that perfect balance of fat to dough. Let's lay that right down in the middle of our bowl. I know we haven't gotten to highlight many of these products up close, but let me show you how luxurious this honey is. Like I said, this honey will run you about $300, and even the box alone looks expensive. But that's why it goes in our $10,000 charcuterie board. This honey is so thick. Not quite as thick as me. It's unbelievable. Next, we have our Regalis Foods Black Truffle Balsamic. It's been barrel aged for 18 years in Modena, Italy. You can't get better than that. Now from iGourmet, I have all these dried limes, oranges, and lemons, which are absolutely beautiful, and which you can fully eat and crunch down on.
And then pick up the sugar cane.
Now, I'm sure you all remember when I opened an entire 82-pound Parmigiano Reggiano cheese wheel in my video recently. That was certainly a heck of a lot of fun.
Let's
But of
go
course,
find
we
some
still
sugar
have
cane
lots
now.
of Parmesan cheese left, and we can't let it go to waste. So let's add this to our charcuterie. This right here is a couple $100 worth of Parmesan, and we're going to add a few more hunks as well. Now, we really have a lot more things. We have breadsticks straight from Italy, extremely nice mustards, more chorizo, all sorts of beautiful loaves of bread, and so much fruit. And let's not forget this absolutely incredible
Don't sugar
first
get
day of
nowhere?
harvest olive oil. I should also mention that a lot of the cheeses here have won massive awards. I mean, this table
Come
has
on, man.
easily $3,000 to $4,000 worth of cheese on it right here. And I'm not going to sit you through every single one because we simply can't go through them all. But what's important is that we have officially reached a $10,000 table, and I actually might say a tad bit more than $10,000 since we stacked them on top of the board behind them. It's truly incredible looking at this massive spread. Okay, so now that we've built out this crazy charcuterie board, I have something extra exciting for today. Now, believe it or not, I actually don't eat a lot of dairy, don't drink a lot of milk anymore. I used to, and who doesn't love chocolate milk? I guzzle through that stuff like crazy. But now that we've made this massive $10,000 charcuterie board, I need some help to eat it. So I've brought in 3 random subscribers off YouTube. I have never met these people before, and they're all really excited to just dive in and try whatever it is they want to try. I'm also really curious because we have a lot of foods here that not only I've never tried, but they're going to have absolutely no idea what they are, so it's going to be really cool to see those reactions. So let me introduce you to Felix, Sage, and Judah. Okay, so the first thing I want to say, we're wearing masks, all that stuff, but I do want to say that everyone is vaccinated. So just to be COVID safe, we are being very conscious of that. But with that said, we could not let this stop us from eating the charcuterie board. So what I'm going to do is have each subscriber come up one by one, pick out a couple things, maybe try what they want to try, and then talk a little bit about it. Simple as that. We're going to go ladies first here and let Sage jump in and try what she wants. So first, what do you think about this whole spread?
This is like a work of art. I love just looking at everything. It's just like so much to take in.
It is, right? And what are your thoughts in general on like a $10,000
There we go.
Isn't that kind of
There we
nuts?
go.
That's outrageous.
It's
but
insane.
It's like food heaven.
It's food heaven. I really like that. It's food heaven. You can grab whatever you would like. Alright, so no pressure.
This is so much to choose from.
You guys are like waiting patiently over here.
I think I want to try the hummingbird.
Yeah, I feel like
Need one more
that's
piece.
Okay, so I'll get you some of that. Go for it.
I will try the candy.
The
Well, not the whole thing.
boys over here are really jealous, okay? I know you want the whole tin of caviar. You can't have the whole tin of caviar. I'll give you the whole tray of Pomona Iberico. Okay, so we talked about these peaches, right? Each one of these peaches can be up to $500. It's crazy, right? So grab one of those peaches. When I scrape into the honeycomb, you can see that like immediately all the honey oozes out of there. All right, so dive in here, Sage, and see what's going down. Caviar. What you thinking?
It's like a flavor explosion.
It's a flavor explosion. A little fatty, right? A little salty. Have you had white sturgeon caviar before? No. Do you like it? It's really good. Right? For that little thing to be that expensive. But alright, what do you want? What do you want to try this?
Definitely want to try the Japanese.
I feel like everyone's gonna want to try this.
It's super like sweet and like fruity, and the texture is like interesting.
Is it strange?
Yeah.
What do you think though? Do you like it?
I love it. I love
It's
it.
really good, right?
Yeah.
You love peaches? You want to just snack another one?
Yeah.
You might as well. I mean, you're here. You might as well, right? Alright, so this is single or dark single very much. All 8 more fast.
Sugar cane.
Really salty,
Some
but
more
super
here.
lit.
Yeah.
The flavor is super rich.
I thought it'd be like super addicting. I don't know why. You picked out the honey too,
Yeah.
right?
I did.
The black locust honey from a full honeycomb, right? Which you've never had before.
Yeah. It smells almost like stronger than regular honey.
Do you get like more floral, like flowery notes to it all, or no? That's what I do.
Yeah.
We lost our sugar cane for us since we got all this extra sugar
So
cane.
good.
So good. I want you to try this white truffle honey. It smells like cashew. Just smell that. Oh wow. Just go for it. White truffle honey.
That's amazing.
Is that the best?
That's like the best thing I ever like ate.
Well, look at that. I didn't make it, so I'm not gonna take too much credit. Sage, I think it's time for the boys down here.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to dive in. Thanks for trying everything. Maybe they'll try the same stuff. Maybe they'll try different. But this honey.
Okay, you're going right for the honey, okay? I like that. Alright, beautiful.
Have to go with caviar.
Pick your cracker though. You gotta pick a cracker too, obviously.
I'll try these.
Yeah, 2 of those. Look at that.
That's a big bite of caviar.
Can you handle that? Okay, so Jude is also gonna get something extra special here, right? He's gonna get just a tad bit of edible protein here on this caviar. Because he was saying the caviar wasn't fancy enough for him, so it's a good goal, right? But I mean, that looks pretty good. That looks really good. Alright, you want gold on one and gold? You have to have gold on both?
Yeah, that's good.
Grab it from the same. That's awesome. Okay, I like that choice. Okay, so just you're gonna get your gold. You're gonna get your own. Wow. Okay, is that correct? Is that alright?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So take that in the other hand. Take that in the other hand. This one will be yours. How's that? It's very rustic presentation.
Alright,
Who's going?
it's a bunch of sugar cane over
Who's
here.
going crazy over here?
Got a lot of sugar cane over here.
Every day
Clap it up, Peloton. Let's do this.
by getting everything from endurance rides to restorative yoga, all right at home. The Peloton Bike. Nothing like working out from home. Try classes on the Peloton app free for 30 days. Terms apply.
Is that the white sturgeon caviar? It's like pretty creamy, has a nice salinity to it.
Yeah.
I really like that.
This is all finger food, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You taste the gold?
No.
No,
I
good.
feel like what gold tastes like.
That's the right answer. You should not taste the gold. How was that?
A little saltier, but has like a bit of a brininess to it. But I really like it. A little bright too.
Okay. He's a pro describing food. I think we should just sell out. Peaches.
Wow, that is incredible. That's
Cool.
like, it reminds me of like a lot of those like Asian candies, but if you made them like the real fruit that it was supposed to be.
It's super interesting.
That's awesome. Great.
Did you know that that's like nicer sausage? That that's the one sausage or not?
I probably wouldn't know it's that. A little bit nicer, but I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, super good. Yeah. And how was that?
I would not expect something this good from like a canned seafood, but I love the richness, the marinade that it's in.
The honeycomb. This is
I
exciting.
got 10 lily pads, bro.
Oh wow. A nice like floral, almost fruity aspect to it.
Super interesting choice, right? I'm really happy someone tried this because it's really, really unique, you know?
At this point, we gotta play Dodge or lily pads.
That's gonna take some. It takes a while for the wine flavor to kick in, but it's definitely there.
Yeah.
I think it's like the wine and cheese pairing is right there.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
don't need to go out and get
Yeah.
separate things.
Yeah. We are not letting him drive home. After that cheese, there's no way we're letting him touch his car and getting home like that. Alright, amazing. You happy?
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Amazing. Alright, well thank you for trying. Looks like it's Felix's turn, yeah? Let's do this. Alright, Felix, you're up. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Alright, so you're from France.
Yes, I am.
Alright, so I like any of the cheese stuff, you're just gonna roast me on it anyway, right?
Of course.
Okay. Alright, I'm not gonna say anything. You dive in. Bites, there's chocolate here. On the charcuterie board?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't have a good answer right now. But charcuterie boards I have seen before have chocolate. I like that everyone's getting different stuff here. This is really good. A few more almonds. What else?
I'll try the chorizo.
Okay.
How about the salmon?
The salmon. I would probably go for that. That's from Scotland. I would grab a few pieces of that if you want, right?
Cracker.
Good choice. I like that choice. Judah, that's the cracker that I would have probably picked. So
Just got rid probably get some prosciutto as well.
prosciutto. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on.
I want to try these
Truffle cheese.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You know what? I feel like you're the first one to try the truffle cheese. So you know what? We're gonna give it the entire one. Okay.
Alright. That's fun. And let's go peach.
Come on, America.
That's a lot.
Right? Look at that. That's amazing. Okay. For the honey, you want both the black lotus and the white truffle. Yeah. You want both. Okay. So let's give you both. I'm gonna first take this honey and see out of there. And let's give you both.
Yeah, we got that floral.
You agree with Judah on like kind of the flowery floral aspect thing, right?
Tastes really natural.
And then while you eat that, you eat a little bit of white truffle honey, which is my personal favorite. If I were to go out and buy probably anything on this tray,
I smell more like the onion than the truffle actually.
yeah,
Do you have like the strong flavor of the truffle that's coming first?
Yeah.
And then you have the sweet flavor of the onion.
really good.
Alright, so I'm gonna try the salmon cracker.
Okay.
Nice
Boom.
texture. I'm gonna take another bite.
Oh, okay.
Good flavor. The cracker is very good as well.
Yeah,
Alright, I'm gonna try this sausage.
so good.
Yeah.
Melts in your mouth, so.
I think I tried this in France before.
Yeah? Just break that. Just crack that thing in half. So this is truffle. This is a really, really nice truffle cheese. See how much truffle you have. We're going with a lot of truffle. Don't taste the truffle. Here.
Should I just really like a cheese?
Yeah.
It tastes more of the truffle. It's like, it reminds me like of the Gouda. You know, the Gouda?
Okay. I'm probably guessing you know like a lot more about cheese than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Alright, that's a good food.
Yeah. Peach, everybody loves cheese. He's thinking.
Yeah. It's like very soft, breaking in little pieces in the mouth.
Okay.
I'm gonna try the hummus, and then I'll try the sweet.
That's your like last little bit. There's the sweet. Get some of the fat. Fashion.
That's very good. Good flavor, neat flavor.
Yeah.
Very intense. You feel like it's very like it's been aged for sometimes.
Take a little bite of the chocolate with Marcona almond. There's like really
The almond's very good.
right toasted Marcona almond, just really kind of nutty.
The texture of the chocolate is like
Sandy.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I've never
creamy.
tasted that before. The almond was so good.
Yeah. Good combo.
Yeah.
You were skeptical, but then you happy.
I love it.
Good. Crazy board. Before you guys all leave, I know you guys all got to taste different things. I do want to ask kind of each one of you, before you grab as much as you can and run, I want to ask you all, what are your final thoughts on this $10,000 charcuterie board? We wanted to kind of set a record here. What are your final thoughts just on this board?
This is the extravagance that I do in love.
So this is going to remain in your dreams for years.
I will not forget this.
How about you? What do you think, Sage?
I'm so happy I was able to try the black truffle honey because that's something I never tried before, and now I know I love it. So something new that I got to experience. So I'm happy about that.
Good. It's going to be your new go-to,
Yeah.
right?
I loved it. Very unexpected.
Which part is unexpected? Just the
Just
whole thing.
everything. I wasn't expecting to see a big chocolate go like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't tell you what you were all coming
It's
to.
great,
So
yeah.
thank you all again for coming. I appreciate it. Again, grab a bunch to go, and thanks for being on the video. Thanks for joining me.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All the crazy goodie bags.
Actually, before we end the video, there's one more thing I want to say. And I actually thought about this a little bit more after I finished filming. Up to this point, I've really been taking a lot of the money I'm making and putting it right back into the videos for your enjoyment. But I also don't want to be just aimlessly throwing money around, especially when there's so many things out there that could really use it. So yeah, there's many times where I'm just going to want to make you guys all really happy and put out videos that you love and even make you happy in person. But in doing so, I also want to make changes. I genuinely mean that. So given the times that we're in, I have a really great idea. I was scrolling through Instagram recently and found this. There are crazy things going on right now in India, and that's why I've decided to donate every last penny that I make from this video to this cause. And now I'll close out the video. Well, I'm super thankful that I was able to get 3 random subscribers to come on in here and try what we made today. Now, obviously, I didn't really cook any of this stuff, other than, I guess, this big brie in the middle that none of them seemed to want to.
Alright, I think we've done enough.
Facing up against that, compared to Hamon and Bear, truffle honey, a really nice cat.
Can't think of anything else that I haven't accomplished that I wanted to accomplish this episode. So, besides the sugarcane farm, but I'll do that tomorrow or whenever I stream Minecraft again. Yeah. Oh look, the organized chest. At least before we
And of
leave.
course, it'll be so much easier as the virus continues to ease up. But for now, I want to thank those 3 subscribers.
All the things that have to do with an animal,
To be able to give back to people.
and I go in this
After all,
chest.
you're the ones that allow me to do what I do. If you like the video, please
Some
don't forget
things
to
that are
subscribe and
trash.
hit that notifications icon because you could be next in one of these videos. And I mean that. Quite soon, I'll be roaming the streets and giving out tons and tons of caviar for free. And after that, there's going to be a heck of a lot more. So again, don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and let's get 100,000 likes on this video. Wouldn't that be awesome? In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. I got a lot of charcuterie to eat, or charcuterie, however you say it. I'll see you next time. I'm just gonna cut right to the chase. Today we're making a beef Wellington, and I know that's very daunting to a lot of people. even potentially myself, because we all know it's one of the hardest things out there that you can actually make, or at least pull off in the correct way. A lot of people would call the beef Wellington Gordon Ramsay specialty, and he's not the type of guy that you want to disappoint. So that's why today, when I make this beef Wellington, not only will I teach you how to make the proper beef Wellington today, I'll also be making literally every part I possibly can from scratch. That's right, all the way down to the mustard that we use to paint that beef. Everything is going to be homemade. You don't have to make it all homemade. But I know that beef Wellington already tastes ridiculously good on its own. Why not try to make a better beef Wellington? Now, the most important part of a beef Wellington, of course, is the beef. And that's why I've got something special. This thing that I got today is a weapon. This big giant honker is a full American Wagyu tenderloin. Now, as you can see, it's wider and bigger at this end and a little bit smaller at the tip here. So I want to be basically cutting that part between my two hands to get that perfect piece. And look at that, we got all the seals of certification. This is purebred Wagyu beef. Now, as I use in most of my videos, this is from the Wagyu shop. And again, it's never an ad, but I always just toss that link in case you do want to grab me. Because given how much I cook with Wagyu, people ask me all the time where I get it, and that's where I get it. We genuinely, truly don't have any sort of deal together. But with that said, we're starting with the best of the best right now. Japanese Wagyu is a bit too fatty to use for this because you bake it in the oven in the end to get that perfect golden brown tone. And we don't want all that fat melting. So for now, this is what we got. Now, while we let that tenderloin come up to temperature, we're going to start with Duxelles. It's essentially a fancy filling we're going to make with mushrooms, shallots, garlic. It's actually quite tasty. And it's not too hard to make, so don't let the name scare you. To start, I'm going to dump out a little over a pound of assorted mushrooms. I had my mushroom guy go out and forage for some fun, unique things here. So just like anything else in the kitchen, we're really not messing around. After trimming down all our mushrooms and making sure we've taken off any of those unwanted stems, we're going to start chopping. You got to know this ahead of time. This part might get a little bit messy because we need to get these nice and small. Usually, I just start to go for it. Now, there's a few methods to chopping these mushrooms up because it's going to take you a while. My favorite way is to typically put 2 knives between my fingers and then just go like this up and down all my mushrooms to get those chopped up really nice and fine. But another way I've seen people do it is to just go like this. Now, that's definitely a little bit messier and the mushrooms fly all over the place. But whatever it takes to get those down to a really fine, small granule is what you need to do. These are going to be used to essentially make this paste, almost like an olive tapenade. That'll be enveloping our Wellington, so they've got to be nice and small. Once your mushrooms have been nice and finely chopped, your kitchen counter area is definitely going to be a bit of a mess. But trust me, your work here will be worth it. These are in nice small bits here. And now we're ready to chop up those shallots and garlic. For our shallots and garlic, I typically like to do about 2 medium-sized shallots and then just a couple cloves of that garlic. For those of you that hate peeling off those little bits outside of each clove of garlic, I got a trick for you. Simply take some sort of jar or a cup, then cover it up and shake.
I want a degree that still needs work. Thankfully, WGU's accredited online programs are built for any schedule and boast a 92% student satisfaction rate. Take courses, tests, and graduate when I want. I choose WGU.
It's like the shake weight. Once you open that up, a bunch of the cloves should already be fully peeled, and it makes your life.
I could have done this wall first before I started putting down the chest, but we'll just do the part that's not covered by the chest.
Like the head of your sink. Believe it or not, that's the best way to get off that garlic smell. Now for the garlic, since I don't like to cut on my cutting board and I'm also lazy again, I'm just going to put the cloves into my garlic press and go right into a bowl. This will give us all that fresh garlic flavor without having to mess up our board. And it makes our life
What was I going to put right here again?
We just want to kind of chop those in the same way that we chop those mushrooms. There doesn't have to be any special method here. Just make sure they're relatively all the same size. So, believe it or not, with the shallots, I know this recently happened on a video with onions, but right now, I don't know, I'm getting a little emotional. Practice chopping this with your eyes closed. I feel bad crying in front of you guys like this, so I'm sorry, but Wellington is a good food. I'm getting a little bit emotional about it. Now that we have all of that prepped out, let's start cooking. First, we'll go a little bit of olive oil into a medium-sized pan. Now we're not going to wait for that to get hot.
What was I going to make that for?
Follow this right away with my shallots, and then a nice sprinkle of salt, because we always salt when we add garlic or onions. Now I'll turn my heat down to medium and evenly coat these to get these going. It should get really nice and aromatic here. Make sure you're constantly scraping the sides of the pan so that nothing browns and burns. Once those have gotten nice and aromatic, we're going to add in our mushrooms. Again, make sure you're choosing a pan that'll fit all of these. Looks like I chose the perfect pan. You can go with a little bit of thyme or some other seasonings, and I always just like to add a few bay leaves. We're going to take those out at the end. And quite frankly, they're a lot easier to remove than something like thyme, so I like that they give some flavor without being a huge pain in the butt. Now, on medium heat, we're just going to mix these around a little bit for about 5 to 7 minutes until they give off some of their moisture. Similar to spinach, this is going to reduce in volume in a few minutes. Once this is reduced down quite a bit, you can see that our skillet's about half full now. We're going to add in just a little splash of red wine, because to me, that gives flavor unlike anything else. And as you know, red wine goes quite well with beef. Ah, that looks so good. We're not filming, right? Now to finish off these mushrooms, let's pull out all those bay leaves, then add in just a little bit of pepper for some more seasoning, and if you need it, just a touch more salt. Your key here is going to be to have these as dry as possible, because we don't want anything leaking out of our Wellington. This is really here to just provide tons of flavor. So once these are nice and dried out, you can set them aside. While our mushrooms are rested off to the side, our next step is going to be to make a few crepes. This is actually becoming a pretty common thing to do in Wellington, because you need something in there that'll help to absorb any of that extra leakage. Let's just say you didn't cook those mushrooms long enough. This will hopefully save you. Into a large bowl, we're going to do 2 cups of all-purpose flour, about 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and just a nice little pinch of salt. Whisk this up until it's nice and well combined, and then make a nice little well in the middle of your bowl. Next, we're going to crack in 4 eggs right into the middle of that well. Some might tell you to do it one at a time, but I just like to do it all at once. Once those eggs are in there, we're going to whisk this up until it's nice and well combined, still keeping the eggs in the center of that well, and then we're going to slowly drizzle in about 3 cups of whole milk, just a little bit at a time. Funnily enough, I make my crepes similar to the way I make homemade pasta, using something like the well method to mix it all together. Keep in mind, crepe batter is very thin, so don't get alarmed if it seems a little bit thinner than your regular old pancake batter. Once it looks something like this, you're ready to make those crepes. Now to cook these crepes in a large pan, we're going to add a little hunk of butter and just let that melt down. Now once that's melted, I'm going to go in with about a 1/3 cup of my nice, smooth crepe batter, and then quickly swirl this around my pan to try to get a nice, even crepe. Then over medium heat, we're going to let this cook on this first side for about 2 minutes. Once that crepe is cooked on one side, gently lift it up and give it a nice little flip. Don't worry if it gets a little mangled, they're actually quite durable. Then we'll leave it a minute more on this side and our crepe is done. Repeat this process until you have maybe 4 or 5 crepes. Just make sure you have enough to wrap that Wellington. And again, this isn't a necessary step, but I think it's really helpful. You know, technically I don't think it's kosher to get that color on a crepe when you're making it, but to me there's nothing like getting that beautiful, soft, golden brownness. Oh, God. Now for the last step before we finally work with that big fat tenderloin, we're going to make our own mustard. Because with a beef Wellington, you're going to rub some Dijon mustard right onto that beef itself. Now, this is 1 of 2 things in this video that I did make ahead of time, but don't worry, I'm not just saying it's homemade. It really is. Right here I have some yellow and brown mustard seeds. Last night, I essentially combined these with some white vinegar, some white wine, a little allspice, salt, white pepper, and onion. That pretty much sits overnight in my fridge, and what I have now can be blended down just a bit more to make a really nice Dijon that can be more easily spread onto my Wellington. Homemade mustard is really, really tasty. But again, this wasn't an easy thing to do ahead of time, so I made it ahead now, and now I'm just going to pulse it up so you can see what this turns into.
I remember something.
You'll notice that many of those larger yellow and brown seeds are suddenly going to turn into that more smooth Dijon paste that you might see. Once I'm at this point here, I'm pretty happy because you can see a lot of yellow there, and this is ready to spread.
Yeah.
I still want some of those small mustard seeds in there just to get that texture, but as far as I'm concerned, we're ready to go. Let's bring out that tenderloin. Congratulations, you made it to the beef. The first thing we're going to do without damaging that beef is slice it open. But because I know there's going to be a lot of juice there, I'm going to put a paper towel down. You always got to be smart.
Made a lot of progress. Last thing we got to do is finish these walls up.
I'll tear through the plastic to expose what's a beautiful, beautiful.
And I guess the roof.
And ooh, I like that logo with the cap.
Maybe this right. Matter of fact, I might keep that the same.
I've been peeling off some of this fat.
But yeah. Hope y'all boys help all y'all boys and girls who ever watching. Hope y'all have a blessed day. Jesus loves you, and this has been your boy.